Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Ruth. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my channel. It's going to be all about spirituality and all sorts of things. I mean, life itself is a spiritual experience, right? So we'll talk mainly about spirituality, but about a lot of things on this channel. And I thought that I would use my first video as a chance to let you get to know a little bit about me, because I want you to feel comfortable here and to understand why I'm doing this. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background, my childhood, and what makes me the person I am today. So I was very blessed to have been born into a spiritual family. My parents actually met in San Francisco in the 1960s. They were both in a cult. And the reason why they left the cult was because they asked the leader for permission to marry, and he told them no. So they decided they really loved each other and they wanted to get married. Though what they ended up doing was leaving and moving to East LA. They really stood out like sore thumbs in East LA because my mother, she's very pale with red hair. She's of Irish and Scottish descent mainly, although she has other European races mixed in there as well. And my father, he was a Japanese man. So my mother ended up getting pregnant with my older sister while they were living there. And my father worked very hard. He was going to cash his check at the local check cashing place one evening after he had just gotten paid. And as he was leaving the check cashing place with his money in his pocket, he was approached by two men. One of them had a gun. They demanded his money. He knew his wife was pregnant with their first child and that there was no way they would survive if he handed over his money, so he ran. He ran and he felt the bullets whiz by his ear. He got home and he told my mom what happened, and they made the mutual decision to leave East LA. They ended up moving back to my mother's hometown in Arizona to be closer to her family and have some support from her siblings and her parents as they began their new nuclear family. So my older sister was born there, and I ended up being born there 3 years later. My mother said that when I was born, the sage of Ramanachala, the saint Ramana Maharishi, appeared to her. So I've always had this connection with him, and I still carry that with me to this day. I feel his presence in my life and feel so blessed because of it. And my parents ended up afterward, after leaving the cult that they were in and starting their family, they became involved in transcendental meditation, which was taught by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was the guru of the band The Beatles, if you didn't know that. And so my parents started practicing his meditation. It's Transcendental Meditation, or TM for short. When I was 5 years old, I was initiated into that practice. I was very blessed to start meditating at that young of an age. It was a children's walking meditation, which I practiced for several years. Then I was initiated into another meditation method, which was for adults, the adult version of that. And I practiced that off and on for some years up into my adulthood. But along with that, I had other experiences with masters that I just want to tell you a little bit about. So when I say spirituality, I don't mean religion, although I have had experiences with religion. For instance, when I was 12, my best friend started studying Catholicism, and I ended up studying with her. We took catechism classes together, and we both were baptized and confirmed Catholic by the time we were 13. And I still go to Mass sometimes, not always on a regular basis, but I did go today. I love the sacrament of communion and many things about Mass and the rituals in the Catholic Church. If any of you know anything about Catholicism, you might understand what I'm talking about. So after getting involved in Catholicism, I also started attending the Sathya Sai Baba Center meetings. My parents actually introduced me to Sathya Sai Baba, his teachings anyway. At the time when I was 14, we all started going to his meetings together, and I started developing a deep spiritual connection with him. In fact, he became my guru. And even though I had never met him in person, I had a spiritual connection with him on a deeper level, which I'm sure some of you watching could understand what I mean by that, because obviously if you were drawn to this channel, you probably have some sort of spiritual experiences of your own, which might help you relate to what I'm talking about. But at 14, I became spiritually connected to Sathya Sai Baba, who is well known in India and actually still has, even though he passed away on Easter Sunday of 2011, he still has a huge following throughout the world. And if you look on YouTube, or probably any social media sites, if you just Google him on the web, you'll find information about Sathya Sai Baba. There's so much I could say about him. There's not enough time in one video, but as we go along, if you follow my channel and enjoy my videos, I'm sure bits and pieces will come out here and there, because he still is very much a part of my life, because I'll always be very much connected to him spiritually. And when I was 16, I actually got to go to India and meet him in person, which just solidified my connection with him. I was very blessed to have the opportunity to meet him in person. Not everybody got to do that. Many were able to possibly see him or visit his ashram, see him from afar, but not everybody got to come into contact with him on a closer basis where you actually got to talk to him and interact with him one-on-one, and I had that opportunity, which I have since found out is something that you have to earn. It's not something that everybody gets the chance to have, and if you do get to have close contact with any sort of living master, it's a huge blessing. After meeting Sathya Sai Baba, I also got to meet an incarnation of the Divine Mother. There's several out there that are still alive right now, and she's one of them. The incarnation that I met, her name is Karunamayi, and She has an ashram in India. She also has a spiritual center in the United States in Forsyth, Georgia. I got to come in close contact with her. She actually stayed at my parents' house for a period of time, and she tours the world and gives people blessings and spiritual teachings, and practices meditation with people. If you get the chance to attend one of her retreats, I highly recommend it. It's very powerful, uplifting, and I can guarantee that you will not leave empty-handed. I know that, having gone, I never left one of her retreats without a deep sense of peace, which, as you know, is priceless. And there's nothing greater, in my opinion, than feeling that spiritual sense of peace and well-being that only comes when you feel fully connected to the divinity within yourself, which we all have. But these spiritual masters that I'm talking about have a very precious and powerful way of helping us remember that and connect to it. And actually, since meeting Karunamayi, I've also gotten to have contact with another living master who I actually just met within the last 2 years. His name is Mohanji. He's in this calendar behind me, and in this photo behind me with me. That was when I got to attend one of his retreats in Australia over my birthday of this year. He's amazing as well. If you get the opportunity to meet him, I highly recommend you take it. He currently tours the world. He said that next year he may not tour as much, but he does spiritual retreats and what are called satsangs, which is when people gather to hear him speak. He's a humanitarian and a philanthropist, as Karunamayi is as well, and Sathya was as well. And those are just very general descriptions of these highly evolved beings. It's hard to put into words what they actually are, because they're not quote-unquote normal people, and if you get the chance to meet them, I'm sure you'll understand what I mean. That's a little bit of background about me, and I'm looking forward to discussing many different topics on this channel. I hope you'll join me for more. Thank you.